Hello guys, today we're going to be reading this book called Breakthroughs in Science, the Human Body. It's really interesting, I think, so let's get started. This book is by Carol J. Amato, and it's actually quite interesting. It's basically about the little stories of how certain medical discoveries were made. So let's see. Here's a table of contents. Scenes. And here's the introduction. So we will start reading on page 9. Breakthroughs in Anatomy. Here's the introduction. It's a very interesting picture. And here's that first thing we're gonna read. Alright, breakthroughs in anatomy. Here it says, anatomy, or the structure of the human body, has fascinated humanity for centuries. In prehistoric times, those who were the most skillful at caring for broken bones and tending wounds became the first medicine men and women, or the world's first doctors. By 3500 BC, about 5,000 years ago, the practice of medicine was well established. The historical records show that in ancient Egypt there were many physicians and surgeons, but like the early Stone Age healers, Egyptian doctors often depended on magic, the spirits, and the gods to help them find a cure. The ancient Greeks made medicine a science. For the first time in history, the doctor carefully studied a patient's symptoms and did not rely so much on magic or the whims of the gods. Medical schools were set up throughout Greece. That's actually pretty cool. When the Romans conquered the ancient world, the city of Rome became the center of the civilized world. Many Greek doctors went to Rome to practice medicine. One Greek, Galen, practiced the medicine in Rome around AD 161. He followed many of the methods of Hippocrates from 600 years before, and the books that he wrote on anatomy were used as textbooks in medical schools for the next 1,300 years. But Galen had never dissected a human body. He had dissected dogs, goats, and monkeys, and had assumed that the human anatomy was the same. As a result, many of his ideas about how the human body worked were wrong. In the 1500s, however, a young and brilliant Flemish medical student, Andreas Vesalius, 1514 to 1564, gave doctors a true picture of human anatomy. For years, human dissections were not allowed, but by Vesalius' time, medical schools were permitted to dissect the bodies of the dead criminals. During a dissection, however, teachers and students followed along according to Galen's book, Cutting Up a Human Body According to an Animal's Anatomy, made these dissections careless and inaccurate. Vesalius, who had long been a student of anatomy, discovered Galen's mistake when a book publisher in Italy asked him to update Galen's work. As a result, Vesalius wrote a new book on anatomy to replace Galen's. Fortunately, many of the great Italian artists of the day, like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael, were also interested in anatomy. These artists believed that if they learned how the human body worked and moved, they would be able to draw better paintings and create better sculptures. Vesalius asked Stefan Kalker, a student of the great artist Titian, to do the illustrations for his new book on anatomy. Published in 1543, the Humani Corporis Fabrica, which means concerning the structure of the human body, changed the course of medical science. Vesalius' book was the first complete and accurate anatomy textbook in the world, and later earned Vesalius the title Father of Anatomy. Whoa, that was pretty interesting. And here we have this picture. I guess it's where they're dissecting a human body. Very interesting stuff, I think. It's kind of scary. Right over here we have breakthroughs in physiology. When anatomy is the study of structure of the human body, physiology is the science of how the body works and functions. Blood chemistry and circulation. Although English doctor William Harvey, 1578 through 1657, is known for discovering how blood moves through the body, many of our ancient ancestors understood how blood circulates thousands of years before Harvey was born. The ancient Egyptians described blood circulation well, but the ancient Sumerians of the Tigris of Euphrates Valley mistakenly believed the liver pumped the blood. A wise Chinese emperor, Huang Ti, who lived over 4,000 years ago, clearly had an excellent understanding about the flow of blood through the body. In his book, Nei Qing, the Book of Medicine, he wrote, "All the blood in the body is under the control of the heart. The blood current flows continuously in a circle and never stops." Yet William Harvey is considered the father of physiology. Harvey was a successful doctor who served as a physician for King James I and King Charles I of England. Like Vesalius, Harvey studied medicine at the University of Padua in Italy. Harvey became interested in the beating of the heart and the movement of the blood. His teacher, Girolamo Fabrizio, discovered that there were valves which he called little doors, which I think is kind of cute, in the veins around the heart. Another doctor who lived in Spain, Michael Servetus, 1511 through 1553, developed the idea that the blood flowed from the lungs to the heart. Harvey, however, realized that when the blood passed through these valves, it flowed in only one direction, toward the heart, but never away from it. Although he wasn't the first person to talk about circulation this way, in 1628, Harvey published an anatomical treatise on the motion of the heart and blood in animals, which popularized his ideas about the endless circulation of blood. The discovery of blood types. Maybe some cells, maybe? Almost 500 years after Harvey's observations about blood circulation, Karl Landsteiner, 1868 through 1943 of Vienna, Austria, discovered that blood came in different types. In 1901, he developed the modern classifications of the 4 main types of blood: A, B, AB, and O. His discovery led to the safe use of blood transfusions from one person to another. In 1930, Landsteiner received the Nobel Prize in Medicine and Physiology. Oh, so cool. The discovery of cells. All the living parts of the human body are made up of cells of many different kinds, shapes, and sizes. Brain cells differ from the cells of the skin, bone, or muscles. Cells are the fundamental building blocks of living matter. Around 1600, Italian Marcello Malpighi, one of the first professors of anatomy to use the newly invented microscope, discovered that living organisms were made up of different types of tissue. In turn, each tissue was composed of many parts, visible only under the microscope. He called these parts sacules, and we now call them cells. And here is a picture of the heart. And I guess the little arrows, would point in the direction of which the blood flows. Pretty cool stuff. Malpighi funded the science of microscopic anatomy by studying layers of skin and lung tissue. He also discovered the capillaries, the tiny, fine blood vessels that connected arteries to veins. The discovery of germs. Whoa. During the 1600s, an amateur scientist from Holland, Antony van Leeuwenhoek, 1633 through 1723, was the first person to see germs. He was very interested in grinding lenses and making magnifying glasses. He made small microscopes at first, but was soon making some of the best microscopes in the world. Van Leeuwenhoek looked at many things under the microscope, including insects such as ants, spiders, and bees. He examined blood, bones, eye, hair, and muscles. When he looked at a drop of stagnant water, he was shocked to discover little creatures swimming around. These are one-celled animals we call protozoa, and include amoebas and paramecia. He also saw bacteria, which he called animalcules. Animalcules, cute. But he didn't realize these germs caused disease. Van Leeuwenhoek made many other discoveries in addition to his discovery of germs. While studying the transparent tail of an eel, he concluded vessels leading away from the heart were arteries, and those going toward the heart were veins. In 1674, he discovered the red corpuscles in the blood. Red corpuscles carry oxygen through the body. Van Leeuwenhoek reported all his findings to the Royal Society of London. British scientists were so impressed by his work, they made Van Leeuwenhoek a member of the society. In 1716, when he was 84, Van Leeuwenhoek received an honorary degree from the University of Louvain. His work laid the foundation for that of Louis Pasteur. See chapter 2. More than 100 years later. Wow. Breakthroughs in psychology. Interesting picture here. Until recently, many doctors believed that the study of the mind had little to do with the study of the body. We now know, however, that people become mentally ill much in the same way as they become physically ill. The mind and the body are linked, and the mental state of a person can influence his or her health. It also makes a difference in how well a patient recovers from a physical ailment. We now realize, too, that people can recover from many types of mental illnesses. For centuries, though, people suffering from mental illnesses were horribly mistreated. They were chained and locked in dungeons where they had no hope of recovery. Many believed that mentally ill were possessed by the devil. Here's a picture. Very interesting. In the late 1700s, however, a French doctor named Philippe Pinel, 1745 through 1826, became one of the first to realize that the mentally ill needed proper treatment. Pinel didn't believe that the mental patients were possessed by the devil. Instead, he insisted that mentally ill people be treated with kindness and understanding. Fresh air, exercise, and good food. He tried to learn the source of the patient's problem in order to cure them. Pinel is known as the father of psychiatry. In the United States, Dorothy Dix, 1802 through 1887, was the first to help mental patients much in the same way as Pinel helped the mentally ill in France. Dix didn't believe in putting mental patients in prison with criminals. She helped start mental hospitals in 15 states of the United States and in Canada, Europe, and Japan as well. Though the mentally ill were now in hospitals, they were still not offered proper treatment. Despite the efforts of reinforcements like Pinel and Dix, the cause of mental illness received little scientific attention until an Austrian doctor named Sigmund Freud 1856 through 1939, began to study the nature of the human mind. Freud believed that mental problems were caused by negative experiences in early childhood. Known as the father of psychology, Freud invented psychoanalysis, a treatment method in which people talk about their problems in order to understand and overcome them. Freud learned more about the human mind in half of his lifetime than the world could figure out in all the centuries before him. Today, however, in some circles, many aspects of Freud's work have fallen into disfavor. Freud attributed the cause of all mental problems to early childhood events. We now know, however, that mental disorders can arise from many different reasons. Chemical imbalances in the brain and body can cause many mental diseases, such as schizophrenia. But we are only now beginning research on these problems. Some of the old and accurate attitudes about the mentally ill are with us today. While we realize that people can fully recover from physical illnesses, many find it difficult to accept that people can recover from mental illnesses. They believe that once a person has been mentally ill, his or her mind is permanently weakened. Knowledge of the treatment of mental illnesses can prevent a person from getting a job or holding political office. It is to be hoped that our attitudes toward those recovering from mental illnesses will one day match our healthier attitudes toward those recovering from physical illnesses. So true. Alright, I think that's where we'll stop. Maybe next time we can read chapter 2, Breakthroughs in Medicines. Alright guys, well I hope you all had a good time and hopefully maybe you're now asleep. Well, I hope you guys have a good day or night wherever you are, and yeah, you'll have a nice day. Bye bye.